Women like me don't exist. My ex would always insist that I was a freak of nature. He'd say it with such a straight face, like it was as obvious as the je ne sais quoi of Idris Elba. Baby would say it like it was nothing, but it is everything. The things that I am not are as pertinent as those which I am. For example, I don't own a grocery bag. And on some days that makes me feel like less of a woman. Like if I cooked more, an extra X chromosome would sprout somewhere in my genome. I'd be oozing estrogen through my skin pores. And maybe if I liked heels, only ever picked at my meals, ordered lame things like Caesar salad as a main, not a side, I wouldn't be such a shame to all the educated, sophisticated women out there. And maybe, if I didn't pay someone else to do my laundry, if I scrubbed that floor on my knees, if I swept the yard before 6 and still made it to work by 8, if I wasn't such a strong believer in the power of takeaways fit, kicked up on the coffee table, catching up with the news at 8, maybe I wouldn't get breakouts. Maybe I wouldn't get cramps. Maybe the universe would stop punishing me for failing to woman right. I try to woman with all my might, but when you're black and female, you have to be too many things to way too many people. A marble pillar, a soapstone sculpture, warrior queen, hybrid offspring of St. John and Nehanda. No black girl magic, we only ever get karma. We're damned if we do, damned if we don't. I mean, women these days aren't even allowed to cry anymore. Because showing emotion makes us weak, but if I'm all business, I'm a stone cold bitch. Being uneducated is unattractive, but too many degrees scare men off, and no one ever really tells you where to draw that too many line. Is 1 degree too many degrees? Is it 4? Is it 3? Does it matter if the third is a master's or PhD? Does a specific level add to the too muchness? And girl, you have to answer these questions. Because every woman needs a man. That is how you know you've made it. Could be the most powerful person in the world, but without a man to back it, how many of you would buy it? Our value is proportional to whether we are wanted. And most of our dads didn't even want us. We can't propagate the family name. A girl has no name. We're defined by the men around us, by their money, their cars, on rare occasion maybe ours. And yet our truth does not look like Cinderella. We have no fairy godmother. No glass slipper. When we slip up, no prince comes to save us. And we don't fear that midnight clock because our pumpkins never changed to chariots in the first place. Our stepsisters, they are fellow laborers. We're all just trying to get to a place that feels better. We're trying to get comfortable with the way that we look, trying to slot more black girls into books, trying to believe we are not the embodiment of the curse of Eve, serpent children groveling in the dust, or in glass cases in museums with random strangers and predators poking at us like, you're smart for a ghetto girl, articulate for an African. Pretty despite your dark skin, they pit us against ourselves. But we have come to learn we are smart because of these streets. Pretty because of our melanin and froze, articulate because of the clicks trained in our mother tongue. And the family tree isn't rooted entirely in pain. Our destiny calls us to a place beyond where men can ordain. And this isn't a pep talk, rally cry, emancipated black girl art piece. This is truth revealed. It's God's heart inside people who look like me. See, black women make protest art to reclaim our divinity. The only deity we've been allowed is fetish, Aphrodite, fertility goddess. But we want queen and empress, where you bow and we don't have to undress to earn your reverence, where we decide how to honor our temples, where the skin is sacred, these hips are an altar, and this face is the image of the Lord God, your creator. And honey, we won't stop with this kind of poetry until you see God in people that look like me.
And you have decided what God should look like. And your wide-eyed blindness told you He would never dwell in anyone with my skin. And I believed you. I was too dirty. The stench of the evil of my flesh like rotten fruits. The carnal desires of my mind like rotten meat. God will never love one so filthy, they said. Well, then don't you dare hallelujah me. Society says, Be yourself. Society says no, not like that. And so we would rather be anything at all other than ourselves. We are not courageous enough to be who we are in a society that wants to judge even how you measure your steps. She walks like a harlot. These kids these days. Excuse me? Your father raped your child. Do you have any idea what you are saying? What causes you to speak such abominations? Silence, child. Lest the gods strike you down in all their wrath. And her mind taught her tongue to remain mum. Silence. The torturous sound of silence. Is that a tear in your eye? What sort of man are you? A true African man cries from the inside of his tummy. A true African man does not know weakness. Just like that. Our children were robbed of their voices. The girls were used and the girls were silent. The men became boys and the boys had no idea what it meant to be a man. Our tongues have become caged, and even our mouths are now for eating and swallowing our pain, and our thoughts have made our minds their everlasting prison. Did society do this to us? Or are our zones too comfortable and our fear too capital, or we just love seeing others do the fight? We'll just sit around till it's safe to go outside. Is there another way? Is there another way to speak in a safe place? Or shall we continue to behave as is expected of us, i.e. nod, offering high fives and standing ovations to handshakes, of ceasefire to flames these very hands sparked in the first place? How often we speak of inspiration from great men and women of the world. When do we get to speak of our own sons and daughters? Where are they that are leading our second liberation? Apparently, one face of independence doesn't cut it. Get one today, spend the next 50 years seeking another. Isn't that how the world works? The leaders of tomorrow who finally caught the sunrise are now known for spitting insults and Jackie Chan round kicks, yet here we are, thinking it was finally here. Freedom, but they too were swallowed. The Jicho paving way for us went blind. The author of Kipepeos in Mirrors and Chameleon Tales fell victim to his own story. Comrade Power! Tialala! Became just that, Tutalala. Should we feel betrayed? Or maybe it's not a problem of age. This cancer never chooses. Even when the young people rise, take arms, take charge, is it just like any other illicit sex chronic? It is all beautiful and wondrous until you've actually had it. Where are those that we will point to when we talk to our kids about true heroes? What will we tell them when they ask why we didn't speak up? That it doesn't matter because no one was listening? That some of us were too cowardly to storm streets alongside our comrades? That we too were act so deeply by the vile nature of the world, but we didn't know what to do? Peaceful demos became stage for our armed friends to demonstrate why there is an armed before the force of their name. We armed ourselves with the hashtags only relevant at boiling points. Once the stove was turned down, the tags went hush. We all know Rosa Parks, right? It took Dr. King and his friends 381 days of boycotting buses, of united voices, to get the supreme ones to do what they already knew was right. Closer home, Freedom Corner was born. From a mad woman with insects in her head, she refused to sit down, be quiet, respect men like a proper African woman. Because true African women are defined by strength. Maathai and her friends stripped naked for their sons. Women as old as 70 on just glucose and water. David versus Goliath, hunger, police clobbering by men the age of the sons they were fighting to free out of prison. They showed them their breasts. And even in their nakedness, their oneness was unparalleled. Their oneness was unparalleled. Is there another way to speak free, safe? Is there such a thing as safe speech? And even though our living rooms will be silent with blank television screens, we shall speak still. Even when they put full stops on wwws, their hash in the tags will be capital and endless. Is this our way? Just satirize their empty sentiments, give them dignified places on the faces of memes, treasured to posterity. Yeah, that's right. Eventually, we looked to our jokes to tell of our pain. How ironic. For something that should otherwise make us laugh. Painful laughs at ridiculous regimes and red corners that trained their bull's eye on Godot and his spoons, shaking governments to the core. Who would have known that a few troubled voices together found a way to bring down dark mountains? And so we speak. We speak every way we know how we speak. We speak hard and we speak true, and we remember that even in their nakedness, their oneness was unparalleled. Their oneness was unparalleled. So let them free. Let them free. Sounds.